But there is another event I did want to talk about real quick. And that's an event for lower level players that they can definitely take advantage of. Not just to source some extra officer shards, but to get some much needed latinum, which is not really available to players at very low levels. It's called Behold the Jellyfish. If you have not the ISS Jellyfish, if you have the Jellyfish, the low level ship that you can build at Ops level 12, you can't buy it from an event store, unfortunately, until Ops 13 for some reason, even though you can build it at 12. You can buy it with cash at Ops 12. But this event comes around about every 2 to 3 weeks. It says monthly, but they've been kind of running it a little more frequently than that. It's a very simple event. You can build the Jellyfish and get 100 points. You can tier it up and get 100 points, or you can just use your Jellyfish and kill 100 hostiles. You have 2 days to do it, so you don't have to rush out and just start spamming hostiles to do it. But the rewards for this event are pretty decent. You get some Spock shards. You get a big chunk of Sulu shards, and you get 1,000 Latinum for doing it. This event is available, like I said, for players level 12 through 16. And it is not hard at all to complete. And for, somebody in that range, that 14, 15, 16 range, especially if you're kind of hanging out there for a little bit, it's certainly worth acquiring a Jellyfish. I don't necessarily I would buy it and pay cash for it. I don't know what they're selling it for these days. But let's take a quick peek. What are we selling a Jellyfish for? Flash pass points. The Jellyfish pack. Well, you can get 25 of the blueprints through missions. You can spend 40 bucks because for some reason they're $20 packs and they give you 25. So you'd have to buy 3. But you can also get if you just do a handful of missions, you can get at least the first 25 blueprints there. So you'd spend 40 bucks on it. I don't know that I would spend 40 bucks on the Jellyfish. If you were going to spend 40 bucks on something in the game, you'd buy other stuff and you'd move up faster. But if you happen to be starting your game like right around now, where you're coming up into like the 3rd or 4th month of an arc and you're about to hit an event store, you can get to level 13 fairly quickly during that arc and get access to and acquire the Jellyfish. And then if you want to hang out at 14 for a little bit, or 15, which is what I prefer because then you can build the mess hall. But 14 is a good level too because nobody can attack your base yet. 15 people can attack your base. A little bit of shield discipline. It's also not very easy because unless even if they have a Jellyfish, it's really hard for them to attack your base. But I certainly wouldn't spend 50 bucks to get the whole thing unlocked and get some materials to help level it up for sure. You're probably going to actually take this one really far, if not max it out with what they're selling this for. But again, I think it's a good free-to-play option to pick this thing up. And then if you decide to just hang out for a little bit, maybe work on some officer sourcing, because there's a fun little mechanic with that, which I'll show you here in just a second. So 14 and 15 is a decent little spot to hang out at, because like I said, at 15 you get access to the mess hall. The mess hall is the only building so far that does not have level restrictions, so you can push your mess hall up higher than you normally can. It's just based on your officer's level. So you can get some nice little bonuses for stat bonuses, research speed, and all that fun stuff while you're kind of hanging out at a lower level for a little bit. The other fun thing that you can do is if you go into your officer recruits, there is a slight difference in your standard recruit pack. We've talked about this in more depth in other videos. Your standard recruit pack, you get 3 shards. Your rates right there, as you can see, 87, 10, and 3. You got a 10% chance at uncommons, 87% chance at commons. But there's only 4 uncommon officers in this pack until you get to level 16. When you move up to Ops 16, this pack changes. And there are suddenly more officers in it. And you went from 4 to like a dozen. 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So you've tripled the number of uncommon officers that are in this pack. And your odds have only slightly changed. It's still very heavily weighted toward common officers. The common officers have also gotten bigger as they now add all of the original Kelvin timeline cadets into this bundle, further diluting your officer pools. As you can see in this one right here, this bundle has your next gen crew and Scotty, but that's it. There's also a few other people who get added, like Zahara and Mabenga also get added into that pool, so there's more common officers as well. So if you're hanging out at 14 or 15 for a little while, you want to stock up on these resources and use this opportunity to try and source some Chen shards. I've been doing it for like 6 months. I'm still, like, Chen's at tier 3. She's getting close to tier 4. I haven't spent any Latinum or anything else on these officer packs. I think that's obviously too long for most people to hang out. This is an alt account, so that's why I'm not playing it very often, so I don't mind kind of running this experiment. But take advantage of the Jellyfish event while you can. Get that 1,000 Latinum, stock up on that, and then eventually you'll just springboard, right? You'll go from like 15 like straight through to like, 20 or 22. 22 is probably where I would say just go. Don't build anything else, don't build any new ships, don't do anything else. You have your Jellyfish, that's going to be bigger than all of your other ships for a while anyway. Skip the North Star, skip the Kira, and just go straight to 22 until you get the Voklis, if you've been stocking up for a while and you can make that big of a jump. So, just a fun little event that I did want to point out. And like I said, looking at the calendar, let's take a look at the current event calendar. I think they run this. Let's look at the last 30 days. Yeah, so looking at the event calendar over here real quick, we ran it 16th through the 18th. And we're running it again right now. So every 2 weeks, they run this event. So if you're camping out for, 2 or 3 months, getting some officers, getting some resources, doing some things, building up that mess hall before you make a big run, you can do this event 5 or 6 times. Get 5,000 or 6,000 Latinum, pick up 7, 10 Spock shards, 20 Sulu shards. Get you off to a decent little start with some officer sourcing, some Latinum resources, and I don't know. I just thought it was a fun thing to point out. I know not a lot of people think about this event or remember this event, and it's a useful tool for people starting out the game to kind of take advantage of. That's all. That's all I want to talk about. So, Nut says that's how you got yours. Got you a free one. You were level 14 for over a year, it felt like. It's probably too long to be at level 14 on a primary account. But, if you're hanging out for a couple months, it can definitely be fun. And again, this ship can get up, 60, 70,000 strength, which is double what like the some of the other ships can get to. It's actually going to even be bigger than the Kira for a little bit too. That Kira gets up to like 70, 80,000, like the first handful of tiers, but it's investing a bunch of G3 resources, and it's like, yeah, my Jellyfish is still bigger than it.